Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Monday Munchies. Today I thought I'd show you all of the spices and seasonings and other kind of flavoring ingredients that I have in my pantry on a regular basis. That way you kind of get an idea of what type of items I use frequently, and maybe that'll inspire you to get some of these things and keep them on hand as well. Alright, so you can see pretty much everything that I use frequently. Obviously this cup isn't part of it. But there are a lot of, all my spices are over here basically. Then I have some other ingredients like oils that I use regularly. You can hear my kitten who's begging for attention. But then I also have these things they use for flavoring as well. So I'll start on the left side, then work my way to the right. And the main reason I'm doing this is because I have to refill some of my spices. So I thought, why not just show you all everything? So right here, if you watch my chili video, I have a bunch of different assorted chilies that I use for different purposes. If I'm making like chili to eat, I blend these up and use that as my base. I make my own chili powder. And they're also great just to add to dishes here and there for a little extra smokiness and some spice depending on the chili you use. I have these oils. So I have some coconut oil, which doesn't get used a whole lot. We mostly use that for making homemade moisturizer. But sometimes use it in baking, especially when making brownies. Have olive oil. That's the primary cooking oil that I use. And this one says extra virgin olive oil. I really don't care which type of olive oil I get. I usually just get one that looks decent and it's also cheap. I'm not sophisticated enough to be able to tell the difference when using them when cooking. So it doesn't have to be extra virgin. Just get whatever you feel like you want to use. Over here I have some toasted sesame oil. This is used when I do stir fries and make like air quotes Asian dishes. Obviously there's a huge diversity in Asian cuisines, but primarily when I'm making stir fries I'll use sesame oil, and it really does a great job of adding that kind of extra flavor that you need. And then finally in the back I have some canola oil. I also use this for baking purposes primarily, and also for re-seasoning my cast iron and carbon steel skillet. This bottle I've had for quite a long time at this point because I use it so rarely. But that's it for oils. Like I said, I have these chilies. I also have dried mushrooms on hand. Mushrooms are really great at adding a good umami flavor, a good really savory flavor without having to use meat. So that's what these dried mushrooms are for. I also use these in stir fries and other noodle dishes at times. Similarly for the kelp, so this is dried kelp, dried seaweed. It also does a good job of adding some saltiness to a dish without actually using salt, and also adds like a good depth of flavor. It's like adding, in some ways you can use kelp to replace the depth of flavor that you would get in the stock. So it's really great when making soups and stuff like that. Down here I have some cinnamon sticks. I use this when I make a drink called tepache, which I have a video recorded on. I just haven't uploaded it yet. But yeah, that's what these cinnamon sticks are for. And then we get into the heart of the beast over here. You can see I have a lot of different seasonings, and a lot of that's primarily because I tend to stay away from seasoning blends like Italian seasoning and chicken seasoning and pork seasoning and all of those different things. I like to have a lot of control over the different ratios that I use. So because of that, I have a lot of individual ingredients. There are some things that are a blend, but I'll get into those. So I keep my bay leaves in this small 8-ounce mason jar. And this is extra bay leaves. And as you see, I buy most of my spices wholesale, so I have these jars that I have to refill from time to time. So up here I have all of my kind of I guess plant parts. So I have bay leaves, I have parsley, have oregano, basil, rosemary. So these three, the parsley, oregano, basil, heavily used in a lot of Italian cooking. So these are used quite a bit in pastas that I make. But parsley also gets a lot of use for me when I'm making different bean dishes and really a lot of different dishes as well. It really adds a good flavor. And then the rosemary, that's primarily used when I'm roasting vegetables. So just to kind of give that more of a roasted feeling that you would expect. And then I also have some thyme as well. That's also mainly used when roasting vegetables. Back here I have my salt dish. So this is just sea salt. This I just try and keep it full as much as possible because I'm always using salt when I cook. Down here we have the spices. So we have the chili powder, which I make myself. So even though it's in this bag, this is my homemade blend. This is an extra. Black pepper. I have some paprika. Really great at adding kind of adding the flavor of kind of chilies and kind of a really earthy flavor without getting some of the spiciness that you might get from using chili powders. Smoked paprika, which is really great for replicating the savory taste that you would get from using meat. So this is really good for if you're cooking for a vegan. Smoked paprika and smoked salt are really good at kind of lending that flavor to a dish without actually having to use meat. Here I have cumin, I have curry, and I have coriander. So these are used when I'm making more Indian-based dishes. So obviously curry powder. Cat is climbing up me right now. This is Leonardo. He is begging for attention. Leonardo. Okay. So yeah, obviously I'm going to use this curry powder when I'm making curry. And curry is technically like a blend in and of itself. It's several different ingredients that you blend together to make curry powder. And I am thinking about starting to make my own curry powder as well. But as you can see, I have a lot to go through first. Cumin, coriander, those are pretty straightforward. Cumin, I actually use this when I'm making like Spanish rice. I also add it to my chili as well. So cumin is a versatile one. And then I have this big bottle of cinnamon that I bought years ago that I'm still actually working through. I don't have a lot of uses for cinnamon powder, so who knows how long it'll take to get through. And over here are the other things that don't need to, so all of these things need to be refilled. These don't need to be refilled currently. That's why they're to the side. I have a bunch of garlic cloves. So I don't think this is necessarily unhealthy or unsafe. I haven't found anything to say otherwise, but yeah, I buy pods of garlic and I break them up into their individual cloves, and they're still like in their individual paper, basically they're wrapping, so it's not like the garlic is getting touching each other. But I just do that, put it all in here, so that when I need like 5 garlic cloves, I don't have to break apart a whole head of garlic. I just reach in here and grab some. So that's how I keep my garlic. I have some nutmeg. I don't remember how long I've had this either. I've had this for several years. Barely gets used because nutmeg is pretty powerful flavor. Turmeric, this also gets used when I'm making like Indian dishes like curries and dal. Have some cloves. I also use this when I'm making tapache. I have this Mushroom and Company seasoning blend. It's basically ground up mushrooms and other, like some salt, and I think there are a few other things in here. But this is really great, once again, for adding that really good umami flavor, that kind of savory flavor that you would expect from meat, but can be used to kind of replicate some of that taste. This is my own seasoning blend that I made for meat, which I don't really cook a lot of meat anymore, but for when I was doing a lot of like smoked ribs or pork shoulder, this is what I use. Very chili based, but there's a good bit of salt in there. I think there's some paprika, black pepper, and some other stuff. I don't remember quite everything, but it has a good bit of salt because when you're smoking things, it's going to be on there for a long time. So that salt helps to tenderize the meat and also kind of draw out some of the moisture so the meat cooks really well. And also because the moisture is leaving, the salt is able to penetrate the meat. So good job. So this V curry is vindaloo curry, which is kind of a spicy curry basically. I have tandoori masala. I have garam masala, which is used for making garam masala. Cayenne pepper, which is also used sparingly because my wife doesn't handle spicy food very well. And then this last one, which is empty, is for smoked salt. And smoked salt should be used very similarly to the way that you use smoked paprika. It adds a really good savory, smoky flavor that you would kind of normally expect from using meat. So that's pretty much everything that I use in terms of spicings and flavoring and maybe cooking oils. I know it seems like a lot, but this is one of those things where it just kind of builds up over time. You find that you have a dish where you need cumin, for example, and then you just start to kind of use cumin in other dishes, or you find more dishes that require the use of cumin. So I don't have anything, like basically everything that I have, I use at least once a month, some much more than that. Maybe the only ones that I don't use as frequently are the vindaloo and are these three: the vindaloo curry, the tandoori masala, and the garam masala, because those have kind of much more specialized needs, and those are also kind of pre-blended, whereas many of these other things are not pre-blended, so it's easier to mix and match them as I need them. So hopefully this gives you all some inspiration to kind of broaden your spice horizons and get you into cooking new, different, inventive dishes. So, as always, thanks for watching. And if you like what I do, share with someone else who you think will like it. Peace.